A grand failure. Once upon a time, in a small town nestled between rolling green hills, lived a young man named Daniel. He was bright, ambitious, and full of dreams. Since childhood, he had always wanted to start his own business. He dreamed of creating something meaningful, something that would make his family proud. Daniel's father, Mr. Thomas, was a hard-working carpenter. He had spent his entire life building furniture with his hands. He wanted Daniel to follow in his footsteps, but Daniel had other dreams. He wanted to open a bakery. He loved baking, and his mother often said he made the best bread in town. His dream was to own a bakery where people could come and enjoy fresh, warm bread every day. One day, after saving money for years, Daniel finally gathered enough to start his bakery. With excitement in his heart, he rented a small shop, bought ingredients, and set up a little counter with a bright sign that read, "Daniel's Bakery, fresh and warm, just for you." At first, everything seemed perfect. The smell of freshly baked bread filled the air, and people from the neighborhood came to buy his bread and pastries. Every morning, he woke up early, worked hard, and greeted customers with a warm smile. He was happy, and his dreams seemed to be coming true. But soon, trouble began. The expenses were more than he had expected. The cost of flour, butter, and sugar kept increasing. Some days, there were fewer customers, and he had to throw away unsold bread. The rent was high, and he struggled to pay his bills. To make matters worse, a large bakery opened nearby. They had more money, more workers, and could sell their bread at lower prices. Daniel worked harder and harder, but no matter what he did, he could not compete with the big bakery. Slowly, his savings ran out, and he had to borrow money. He tried offering discounts, making new recipes, and even delivering bread to homes, but nothing seemed to work. He was drowning in debt, and his bakery was failing. One evening, Daniel sat alone in his empty bakery. His heart was heavy. He had given everything, but it was not enough. The dream he had worked so hard for was slipping through his fingers. The next morning, he made a painful decision: he would close the bakery. Tears filled his eyes as he took down the bright sign he had once put up with so much hope. His heart ached as he handed the keys back to the landlord. He had failed. He had lost everything. He returned home, feeling ashamed. He could not face his parents, his friends, or the people who had believed in him. He locked himself in his room and did not come out for days. His father knocked on his door, but Daniel did not open it. He felt like a disappointment. One night, his mother came to his room with a loaf of his bread. She placed it on his table and said, "This is the best bread I have ever tasted, Daniel. Just because you failed does not mean you are a failure." Daniel looked at his mother with tears in his eyes. "But I lost everything, Mom. I worked so hard, and I still failed." His mother smiled gently and said, "Failure is not the end, my son. It is a lesson. You learned so much from this experience. Now, you know what works and what doesn't. Now, you are stronger." Her words stayed with Daniel. Slowly, he started to come out of his sadness. He read books about business, talked to other bakers, and learned about new ways to improve. He realized that failure was not the end, it was a chance to start again, but this time, wiser. Years passed, and Daniel did not give up on his dream. He worked in different bakeries, learned from successful people, and saved money again. This time, he planned better. He found a small shop in a busy area, partnered with local farmers to get fresh ingredients at lower costs, and used social media to reach more customers. When he opened his new bakery, things were different. People loved his bread and pastries. Word spread, and soon, Daniel's bakery became famous in town. He had failed once, but he did not let failure stop him. Instead, he used it as a stepping stone to success. One day, as he stood in his busy bakery, watching happy customers enjoy his food, his father walked in. Mr. Thomas looked around and smiled proudly. He patted Daniel on the shoulder and said, "You did it, son. You turned your grand failure into a grand success." Daniel smiled. He knew now that failure was never the end, it was just a part of the journey to success. Thanks for watching my story. I hope you liked it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories.